Hey folks, today we're going to make some udon noodles, and we're going to start with 2 3/4 cup of bread flour. You can use AP flour. Bread flour ends up with a little chewier noodle, which is kind of what you want your udon noodles to be, since it's got a little higher protein content. And then we just added 1/3 cup tapioca flour and 1.5 teaspoons of fine sea salt. We're just whisking that together in a large bowl. Then we're going to come in with 1 cup of lukewarm water. And we're going to add just about a half of that water kind of sprinkled around the surface of the dough and reserve the other half for later. We're going to take our fingertips of both hands and just kind of work that dough down to the bottom of the bowl, back and forth, kind of back and forth all around. And what you're going to end up with is these strand-like flour structures. And you're just kind of creating strands of dough. That's going to help give these udon noodles the characteristic density and chew that they're known for. And then we're going to come in and add about a half of that water that's left. Sprinkle that around on top of the dough. And kind of do the same thing again. What we want to do here is just to gently and gradually add water content to the dough. You don't want to get it too wet or they'll be sticky and really hard to separate, and they'll stick together when you're cutting them and laying them out. You want them to be a little bit, it's a careful balance, I guess I should say. But you want the dough has to be able to come together so you can knead it and work with it as well. So you can't have it too dry. Here we're adding the rest of the water here. You may not need all of the water. When that dough kind of comes together and you can form a ball with it, that lets you know you're pretty much good to go at that point. And we're just kind of folding that, rolling it, and kneading it a little bit within the bowl. And that's all there is to it for ingredients. And next we're just going to dump that out onto a floured work surface. I usually use cornstarch or tapioca flour on the work surface so that you incorporate the same sort of flour back into the dough, as you work it. And you can see it's a little bit dry, and I should say we wanted to let that rest in the bowl for about a half hour to 45 minutes before you go ahead and start kneading it some more. So now after that half hour, you just plop it out on the work surface here and knead it. And you need to knead the dough for probably 10 minutes. I mean, you want udon noodles tend to be chewy, and that's what you want. And that means you have to work the dough, you have to work the gluten and the protein to form the density that you're looking for. So you have to work with that dough a bit, and you'll end up with a pretty elastic, shiny, glossy, supple dough, a really nice dough here. But like I said, you need to work with it a while. And it'll get dense and kind of hard to work with, and that's what's kind of supposed to happen. You may end up going with the two hands. You really can't knead it wrong. Just kind of push down, twist, and push down with your, the ball of your hands and knead the dough. And you just keep working the dough, and you eventually may want to go to a two-handed approach as the dough gets a little tougher to work with, which is fully expected. That's what's going to happen. After 8 to 10 minutes, the dough's going to get smooth and glossy and shiny and elastic. It'll basically get smoother and more glossy for the most part, and that lets you know it's about done and ready to let rest. You're going to let it rest for about 3 hours so that the gluten relaxes and you can easier work with this dough. So we're just going to put this back into that large bowl and cover it loosely, like with the tea towel, so that the surface doesn't dry out. Let it rest 3 to 4 hours. And And then come back to it, and we're going to roll this out to about a 1/4 inch to maybe as thin as an 1/8 inch, and about 20 inches long and 15 inches wide. And then we're going to flour the surface of that and fold it back onto itself 2 to 3 times. And then we're going to cut those crossways so that you have 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch wide noodles. Then you just unfold those noodles and put them on a cookie sheet or in a floured bowl, and they're ready to cook with at that point. Or you can keep them fresh a day or two covered, or you can freeze them. They freeze a long time really well in Ziplocs. And this is the dish here, the spicy udon dish that we'll have on the channel here soon. So be looking for that. That's one of my favorites. That's an awesome dish. And we really appreciate you watching the video, and we hope you like it. And let us know by subscribing or liking the video if you want us to do more. And thanks again. Enjoy your noodles.